Serious time. Here we go. Number 38. Cosine of 165. What two numbers can I use to, two numbers I can use to add up to give me 165? 120 and 45. I can do that. 120 plus 45. Both of those are known numbers on the unit circle. Okay? So now I'm going to go look at my cosine here. My sum cosine, which is this pattern here. So cosine of the first one times the cosine of the second one minus the sine of the first one times the sine of the second one. Okay? Now, if you need to go over here and figure out what cosine of 120 is, please do that. 120 is in quad 2. Reference angle 60. 1/2 square root of 3 over 2. Your x is negative, so that's going to be negative 1/2. Cosine of 45 square root of 2 over 2 minus, that's going to be square root of 3 over 2 times square root of 2 over 2. And I get negative square root of 2 over 4 minus square root of 6 over 4. And that is your answer. What happened to your negative sign?
Since it's two negatives together.
If you had factored that out, that negative would have to be somewhere. It just can't disappear. So I would leave it like that. I wouldn't do that. Yes.
It can also be negative root 6.
Yes. That means the same thing. Yes. What? No, we don't know. I don't want you stressed, Madison. Let's stop. Where do we want?
I use 135 and 30. So, but I got this weird thing, and I don't remember what I did.
135 and what? Let's do it. Let's use that. Let's see what we get. All right. Cosine of 165 equals cosine of 135 plus 30. Cosine of 135, cosine of 30. All right, cosine of 135 would be negative square root of 2 over 2. Cosine of 30 would be square root of 3 over 2. Minus sine of 135 square root of 2 over 2. Sine of 30 is 1/2. Negative square root of 6 over 4 minus square root of 2 over 4. That means the same thing. 135 is in quad 2. In quad 2, your x is negative. So you can do it either way. This is an equivalent expression because your negative. This root 2 is negative. It's negative down here. Root 6 is negative. It's negative down there. So that means the same thing. Are there any other questions on that? All right. Tangent of pi over 12. Okay, I'm going to come over and write this out. Pi over 6. Pi over 4, pi over 3, and find a common denominator, which is 12. Tomorrow you're going to have one sine, one cosine, and one tangent on your check point, okay? We want pi over 12. There's a couple ways you could do this. What's one way you did it? Pi over 4 minus pi over 6? Yes. Is it important to put pi over 4 first in this case? Yes, subtraction is not commutative. So tangent of pi over 4 minus pi over 6. So let's write it. Tangent of pi over 4 minus tangent of pi over 6 over 1 plus. Remember the formula for subtracting. You got plus on bottom. I will leave this up tomorrow, but you also have your note card. Okay, 1 plus tangent of pi over 4 times tangent of pi over 6. What's tangent of pi over 4? 1. Okay, I want everybody. What's tangent of pi over 6? Square root of 3 over 3. All over 1 plus 1 times square root of 3 over 3. Now when I do that, I have fractions up here. Do I need to go to the side and find common denominators? Yes. This is not hard, it just takes a little while. Tangent. Okay, so I'm going to come over here. 1 minus square root of 3 over 3. My common denominator would be 3. So I have 3 minus square root of 3 over 3 that goes in my numerator from this right here. And then 1 plus square root of 3 over 3. That would be 3 plus square root of 3 over 3. Now I'm going to write this out. I'm left with 3 minus square root of 3 over 3 plus square root of 3. Now I'm going to ask you something. If we were to use the 60 or whatever the pi over 3, what's the tangent of pi over 3? Root 3, isn't it? So if I ever have a choice, I'll probably choose like here I could have done pi over 4 minus pi over 6, or I could have done pi over 3 minus pi over 4. If I had a choice with the tangent, I would always go with pi over 3 because that tangent of pi over 3 doesn't have a fraction, does it? So it cuts down on some steps. But either way, you're going to get the same answer, okay? Now I'm going to rationalize. How do I rationalize this? Multiply by the what? Conjugate. Pi over 4 minus pi over 3 because it's a negative pi over 12. 3 pi over 12 minus 4 pi over 12 is a negative 1 pi over 12, and you want positive 1 pi over 12. Does that make sense? Okay. I'm going to FOIL that out. 3 times 3 is 9. Minus 3 square root of 3. Minus 3 square root of 3. Plus 3. All over. 9 minus 3 square root of 3. Plus 3 square root of 3. Minus 3. These cancel out. I'm going to come up here and show you. Okay, so 9 plus 3 is 12, minus 6 square root of 3 over 6. Can I take something out of those? Yes, 2 minus square root of 3. That's my answer. Did you? Got you.
How did you find the common denominator here?
How to find my common denominator? Right here. I look here. This is 1 over 1, so the common denominator is 3. So if I multiply this by 3, I've got to multiply that by 3. So it would be 3 minus square root of 3 over 3. Does that make sense? The same thing on the bottom here. Common denominator is going to be 3. Are there any other questions on that one? Yes?
I'm sorry, can you do it with the other root 3 minus root 4?
Okay. So tangent of pi over 3 minus pi over 4 equals tangent of pi over 3 minus tangent of pi over 4 over 1 plus tangent of pi over 3 times tangent of pi over 4. Tangent of pi over 3 is root 3 minus 1 over 1 plus root 3 minus times 1. See, this way right here, you're straight down to the rationalizing the denominator. So I'll multiply that by 1 minus square root of 3, 1 minus square root of 3. FOIL it out. That's going to be square root of 3 minus 3 minus 1 plus square root of 3. 1 times 1 is 1. So I'm left with, okay, square root of 3 plus square root of 3 is 2 square root of 3 minus 4 over negative 2. Here, I'm going to take a negative 2 out. I'm going to take the negative 2 out so I can get rid of this denominator. Because I know that 2 can go into all of them, but I'm just going to take the negative 2 out. So 2 divided by negative 2 is negative root 3 plus 2. And I got the same thing I got. That is equivalent to that right there. So that's what I'm saying. If you have to choose between pi over 3 and pi over 6 and they both can work, I'll go pi over 3 because you don't have that fraction like pi over 6. Alright. Are there any questions on those? Alright, let's look at number 40. Cosine of 75. two numbers did you use for that? 30 and 45. Very good. So now I'm going to go cosine of 30 times cosine of 45. Do I do plus or minus here? Minus sine of 30, sine of 45. Cosine of 30 is 1/2. Cosine of 45, square root of 2 over 2. Sine of 30. Oh, I messed up. What should this be? Square root of 3 over 2, shouldn't it? Sine of 30 is 1/2. And I get square root of 6 over 4 minus square root of 2 over 4, which can be written as that right there. I love sine and cosine tangent. It just takes a little while. And the reason you didn't have to do number 37, because do we need to do all this for 3 pi over 4? Could we find 3 pi over 4 quickly? That's no sense, because 3 pi over 4 is on unit circle. I wouldn't make you do all that if you saw on the unit circle. That's why we didn't do that. All right. Did we do number 45, 46, 47 yesterday in class? Okay. So do I need to go back over those, or can we do 48 through 50 together? Okay, so let's look at 48. Let's look at 48. What does it start with? Tangent. On these, we're working backwards. I'll try to match it up to the formula. I see a minus in the numerator, so I go over here to my tangent formulas, and I look at it, and it is the difference formula. So I'm going to say 43 minus 13. What's 43 minus 13? 30. And you should know what the tangent of 30 is equal to. What is that? Root 3 over 3. That's your answer. It's on trig equations. In a minute, I've graded your trig quiz, so while we have some time, some of you I got to work with on some trig equations for just a minute. Most of y'all did good. Number 49. What do we start right here? Cosine. There's a plus. In the cosine formula, the plus goes with the difference formula. So I'm going to say 5 pi over 12 minus pi over 4. I need to find a what? So my common denominator is 12. What's 5 pi minus 3 pi? 2 pi. What's 2 pi over 12 reduced to? Cosine of pi over 6 would be root 3 over 2. Yes. Number 50. What do we start with right here, Bailey? 50?
We start with 15 plus sign.
Thank you. I got a plus sign right here, so am I going to do the sum formula or difference formula for sign? 15 plus 75 is? Sine of 90 is? 1. Those are a lot easier, aren't they? I had more students miss these last year than the other ones. So I'm paying close attention. Let's don't miss these. All right. Why don't y'all try number 43 right now? I want you to do 43 and then we call it a day. 43, tangent of 210.